Yeah, good morning, comic fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your ever host, Shorty, and first off, I just want to apologise for anyone who's been waiting for a while. I doubt anyone has. It's a Saturday morning. You've probably got way better things to do. We were supposed to go live almost an hour ago, but then we had customers coming in and messages that I needed to reply to and all manner of other things, and it just kind of get pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. So I'm sorry about that. But we are here to review a comic book. This one, in fact, The Legend of the Swamp Thing, Halloween special. It's kind of nice when they do stuff like this. Nice anthology of horror, which is always a cool idea. And this one, rather than just like the usual DC Spooktacular, I think there's actually like a general Halloween thing coming out, like the Doomed and the Damned, I think, next week, which feels like it's more of a collection of different characters. This one is all Swamp Thing all the time. And it makes sense. Swamp Thing's been one of the longest running just pure horror comic books that DC have done. Whether or not it was good horror for some period is debatable. But pretty much ever since Alan Moore took over and totally reinvented the character, it's been a fairly good staple, and there's been a whole bunch of really good creators been involved in it. What's been quite sad about this particular one is Tom King was supposed to be involved, and I've never really particularly followed the story as to why he isn't anymore, but him not being involved has meant a couple of people weren't as excited about it as I think they could have been, which is fair enough. He's a really good writer, and he did a great one in the last horror special with the Swamp Thing story. It's really, really good. This one is, because it's all Swamp Thing, actually has like a nice little framing device and a bunch of stories in the middle. The framing device is the main thing I'm going to be talking about, because that seems to be like what they're concentrating on, done by, I want to say Ram V, potentially, I think that's the name. But the ones in the middle, kind of like weirdly the disappointing parts of it, not because they're technically bad, although the artwork for the Roman one does leave a little bit to be desired. I'll see if I can bring that up, just so you can just have a quick little look at it. Now, there's lots of great onomatopoeia there, but look at some of the detailing on the faces. Just not great, unfortunately. And when you're doing horror comic books, what you can't do is try and recreate movies. I've talked about this at length back when I used to do the podcast, that you can't just have like jump scares, you can't have like sinister things in the background. You have to build it up with words and art, and unfortunately, the Roman one really, really doesn't do that. Then you have the rather glorious one here. This one looks a lot better, doesn't it? And this one is actually creepy, because it is just a story of just weird, creepy things happening. It has a weirdly not happy ending, though, so again, not that scary. There's another brilliant one. This one has the best art throughout all of it. It's kind of like a done thing. I've seen a few stories do it similar, which is somebody fighting in the Japanese war, well, on the World War on the Japanese side, who ends up on a little island and doesn't realise the war's ended and carries on in his own little head fighting the battles. But he actually has something turn up and help him out. Well, tries to help him out, but he refused to listen and thinks it's all just part of some conspiracy to get him to give up and go home in dishonour and disgrace. And he ends up going kind of crazy, burning a forest down. And that was a cool one. That was actually like probably the most fun out of all of them, but again, not really scary. So those are the kind of the ones in the middle, and the framing device for them is the idea that Swamp Thing is like an emissary of the green, but not always the same person. Alex Holland, I think, is the main one people know about, but he died a while ago and has been replaced. And it starts with Holland finding a kid who's lost in the swamp and getting him back to his parents. And it's kind of nice. It's really good artwork. It feels like it's building up to something, but doesn't really do that much. And then the tail end of the story is the same guy 50 odd years later in the swamp, and the new Swamp Thing turns up, and it's like, oh, okay, it's gonna be quite creepy. And it's just like, no, again, it just kind of has a story, and it's a good story. It's like his life and how he's struggling to find meaning, and like nobody believed him about something when he was a kid, and he's been worried like, why was he saved? Because a lot of people aren't, and like he loses a child of his own, and he goes to war, and a lot of people die as a result of all these things happening throughout his life, and he's unsure if it was worth him being saved. Very Saving Private Ryan, really. And it's a great little morality tale. Really enjoyable and great artwork. Very, very well written by Ram V. Got to give credit where it's due there. But I wanted something scary. I wanted a nice bit of horror. The best we got is something like low-grade creepy. And that's great. That's fine. But when the framing device is like, an excuse to tell a bunch of stories about the history of something, which is what it is, because it's him just talking to an old willow tree, without actually having anything scary happen throughout that entire thing, it just feels like it's a little bit disappointing. I still wouldn't give it a bad review. Like, this isn't me saying don't buy it, it's terrible. because the stories are great, and in some cases the artwork is phenomenal. Some of the writing is absolutely brilliant. But if you're wanting a scary horror comic book for Halloween, maybe wait until next week and see what the Doomed and the Damned actually looks like. Anyway, that's it from me. I'll be back on Tuesday, hopefully, if nothing else goes wrong this weekend. And I'll do a whole bunch of reviews next week because there's loads of cool stuff coming out. So take it easy. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.